The brain does not discover the world, it constructs it. Do you understand that? So we will be seeing something, but we're not going to necessarily see the reality of it. We're going to filter through some subconscious bias. That is why people see surprises. This is something that people need to learn about. When you learn about this, your relationships will make sense, because you can understand sometimes that what you're seeing is not what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get. Our senses will mislead us all the time. Our senses will fail us, and that is the literal meaning of things like do not lean on your own understanding. Now let me explain a little bit of what has happened here with this woman. There is no surprise at all. Who would be surprised by what this woman did, who have thought all these years that life is about observing people, their actions, and determining from our senses what people are capable of. No, our senses will mislead us all the time. Our senses will fail us, and that is the literal meaning of things like do not lean on your own understanding, and things like our righteousness is like filthy rags. Because our brains, the way that our brains function from a neuroscience understanding, is that we will constantly do things that even we ourselves do not want to do, in the sense of, for instance, when you make a New Year resolution, or you make a resolution about something that you want to change for your life, say something about keeping fit, or changes in your family or in your relationships, or something at work, or about your business, or about anything at all about life, all your intentions are to do something that will be favorable to get you certain results. But the thing is that we will constantly also work against ourselves. And that is why even things that you have planned since 5 or 10 years ago, you find yourself that you still haven't started doing those things, or you start and in another 2 weeks you stop, you completely abandon them. It is not that we don't want to do those things. It is because patterns have already been ingrained in our neural pathways, and will always function according to what is in our neural pathways until something has put a stop or expunged them and replaced them with another set of data for us to function from. This is the reason why you even find yourself disappointing yourself. It is a human thing until you realize it and you put in the work to replace what is in your neural pathways. If what is in your neural pathways are not replaced, then you constantly do. And I'm not making an excuse for this woman. I am saying that despite her looking so good on paper and on the external, which is what people used to judge her, because we look at her background, her career, and everything good about her, and we expect a certain level of behavior from her. The reason why people are constantly disappointed is because we can observe everything we can observe about a person, but whatever is sitting in their neural pathways. For this woman, most likely she has certain things about her. Maybe she has always wanted to have a child. Maybe it was even in her subconscious. And again, spending all that time with that child, because she opened up herself to it, the pattern began to settle in her mind, in her neural pathways, and it became impossible for her to want to give up this child. This is why we cannot take people for granted, because we don't know what is happening in their neural pathways, no matter what they're presenting and we're seeing on the external. Again, I remind you that we disappoint even ourselves until we come to this understanding and we know what to put in place before we come to decisions. It is only when you have this understanding that you can be a person who makes a decision and you will stand by your decision. I met a guy when I was in my early 20s. This guy, if he got into the car and he had driven only one minute and he realized that he hadn't done some other thing, he would just continue. He would say, no, we cannot go back. And I used to wonder, but I didn't realize that he had learned the discipline of making a decision and keeping to it. This is a discipline that if people do not learn, they will constantly make errors and they will be wondering, but this is not really what I wanted to do. I'm not saying that she didn't want to do this. I'm just saying that we cannot judge people based on even what they tell us, even what we think that we're observing of them, because we don't understand yet how this person's neural pathways have been formed. And another thing that I will say is, you see when it says do not lean upon your own understanding. The Christians, they say, trust in the Lord with all your heart. To me now, the way that I interpret it is, let me, every time that I say that, I am going to say, I on my own as a physical person, I do not know this. The only way that I can have a proper answer is if I realize that there is something that is more in control than me as a physical person. For Christians will say, trust in the Lord. I interpret this to mean that there are things going on with us that we are not aware of by ourselves unless we have come again to this understanding of the way that our neural pathways work, because we will always be loyal to what is in our subconscious, no matter what we voice with our mouths, no matter what we even think that we intend. And so that is why when you find that you're just trusting yourself, if you don't have this understanding, you will constantly disappoint not only just other people but yourself. So I'm going to read a little. See, neuroscience shows that the brain does not passively mirror the world. It predicts and filters reality. Because external inputs are limited, trusting our own limited understanding over internal data leads to bias. The brain does not discover the world, it constructs it. Do you understand that? So we will, by ourselves, we will be seeing something, but we're not going to necessarily see the reality of it. We're going to filter through some subconscious bias. That is why people see surprises. This is something that people need to learn about. When you learn about this, your relationships will make sense, because you can understand sometimes that what you're seeing is not what you're going to get. This is why I say relationships are not hard. It is just that people do not understand. And because you do not understand, you will constantly be throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that something will catch on. And hope and luck is not what we want to base relationships on. It is far too big, too important for our lives to just base on hope and luck. Here is a breakdown of why cognitive reality differs from what people see. Predictive processing. The brain uses past experiences to predict what it is about to experience, meaning that your expectations heavily alter what you perceive. Do you understand? And finally, we take decisions. Like I've always said, we take decisions from within, and so does everyone else. I take decisions from within. She was taking decisions from within. What we do on the external may or may not match with what is really within us, and this is why people make errors in judgments in relationships. So only if you learn how, then things will begin to make sense to you. It is not hard. It is not complicated. It is that we have been fed a lot of jargon, a lot of lies, one of them being that relationships are hard. And therefore, when you come across somebody who is being difficult, you already think in your mind, oh, relationships are complicated. And because of that, you don't even know when to draw the line, when you will know whether it's a relationship that is going to be difficult or whether it is a relationship that you shouldn't even be in at all, because you already have the wrong mindset, believing that relationships are complicated. In this video here, I had this conversation with this lovely lady. She left her marriage after 10 years, and the reason is because right from even before she got married, in her soul, she actually was not intending to get married to the man. But she didn't allow that truth in her soul to prevail. So she went ahead and she married him. And still, in the end, she still had to leave this marriage after 10 years. Because the marriage was a clear violation of what her soul already knew. There was no alignment of the two of them, and she knew it. Just like many others that are struggling today.
I end up saying yes because I didn't want to disappoint them.
This story, it's so true. It's so true. This is what happens.
Yeah. So I didn't want to disappoint the mother. Eventually connected with the sisters. Eventually connected with the brothers. So he had a sneaky way of...
You were trapped already.
Yes, he was introducing me to his family. His whole family is here. And they're so... You know, when someone gives you over and over something, eventually you're indebted to them.
I almost want to cry because, I have so many... And that's the new season that I'm entering. I want to be reading all these things. This is how a lot of marriages were created.
Yes.
Somebody just was doing something. The other person was going along, but under pressure and feeling like, how can I speak up? When can I speak up? And before you know what's happening, children have come. The reason people have got themselves into this difficult situation is because they use external factors to validate the decision to be in a relationship with the individual they are now struggling with, while the basis of that judgment is supposed to be instead on the understanding of the individual's consciousness, both their own consciousness and your own consciousness. And this is why I guide people on doing this by using role play in our mind muscle training program. It's essential because when people understand this, they can more readily determine alignment before starting a relationship. I will chop up that video and I want you to expect it soon. Check back again, you will see, and I'm going to use this. This is the video that you should be looking out for. Also, one of the reasons that lady's marriage actually happened is this idea that people throw around when they say that a man knows his wife when he sees her. I then went ahead to have the conversation about it with our co-host, Tony. And I want you to listen to that conversation here. And then after that conversation, I will upload the one I had with the lady. The thing about the idea that a man knows his wife when he sees her, I want you to see what is actually going on when people use that idea. And I will see you in the next video where I was talking with Tony. After that, expect the one with the woman. I wish you love. Bye-bye.